Thanks for being here. Let's talk. So today I want to talk about two things. First of all, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate that you're here and you want to have these conversations with me. I don't expect it to be a very long video because what I'm talking about today is something very simple and straightforward, or two things that are very simple and straightforward. Number one, I want to talk about giving positive feedback and the importance of giving positive feedback and constructive criticism. And the second thing I want to talk about is the importance of networking. But okay, let's start. So let's start with the importance of giving positive feedback. So often when we get bad service, like in Namibia, we complain a lot about poor customer service, and we sort of complain to ourselves and never really give feedback to the service providers. And I've come to realize, I took a conscious decision a few years ago to actually give people feedback, whether it be negative or positive. And I realized I do this for two reasons. If it's negative, the way that you give that feedback, right? So you're not just like, oh, your service was terrible, I hate you, I'll never use you again. To actually give precise feedback and say, I think this could be improved, or that could be improved, or this is where you fell short, or this is what made me unhappy, and where I think that in the future you could do better with. That has actually, I've received lots of like really positive feedback from the service provider saying thank you, nobody ever says anything, they just don't come back. And then the second thing is giving positive feedback when somebody is actually doing something good. So oftentimes we tend to give feedback or criticism back to service providers because of something, when something went wrong, right? So you say, you go back and you say, oh, your service was terrible, and this and this and this was terrible. But I realize, dealing with people more and more, that when you say something like, I thank you, this was a great service that you provided, or the product is really good, and these are the reasons why I really like it, it gives the people opportunity to grow. It gives them the opportunity to actually implement these changes that you're suggesting. The one thing we need to realize is that at the sort of the back of every business, or behind every business, is just a human being or a few human beings trying to do something and working, and they need communication just like anybody else. So when you give that feedback and you say this was really great, or this is where you could improve, it really goes a long way. And an important thing I just wanted to add about the positive criticism or constructive criticism is the way that you speak to people, the way that you give the feedback. Sometimes I think when we're really upset, you just storm out, or you say something really vicious or sharp. And of course, as a human being, sort of accepting that or taking that in, the sort of the way the person receives it might not really be that great, because any human being, I think our first response or reaction to criticism is to become defensive. So when you do give criticism, to remember to do it in a way that is actually constructive. So just even your tone, the language that you use, instead of saying this was terrible, you say this is where you could have improved, or I am dissatisfied. And when you are dissatisfied, to give details as to why you're dissatisfied. Just like I was saying earlier about giving details as to why you are happy or you're pleased, you also need to give details as to why you're dissatisfied. Say, I asked you for this and I got this. I was expecting this and I got this. I was told to come at this time and you only saw me at this time, or I was only attended to at this time, and this has negatively impacted the rest of my day, and etc. etc. For example, recently I dealt with a service provider, and they were supposed to, my day that day was really tight. My schedule for the day was really tight. So we had agreed that I think they would come at 11, and they showed up at around lunch. And I really needed them, and it was too late for me to book somebody else. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna wait. And then this is basically ruining the rest of my day. So all of my other meetings and commitments for the rest of the day had to be pushed back until I ended up like having to close off the day at a really late hour, and it's because of this one individual. So when they sent us the invoice, they said, "Oh, we hope you enjoyed our service," or something of the something towards that line. And I said, "Actually, no, I didn't, because you were meant to come at 11. You came at 1:30, and that really, my date was very my schedule was very tight that day, and you really messed up my day." And this is what I think maybe the problem is, because I had to call them a few times and say, "Are you still coming?" And the first time I called, they were like, "Coming where?" And then they're like, "Oh my gosh, I had an 11 o'clock appointment." And then they, quickly rushed and they dispatched whoever they needed to dispatch to come and do whatever they needed to do. And I said, well, maybe what I noticed is that you didn't really have much command of the day, and maybe you need a different way of scheduling your appointments, and a different way of maybe making sure you keep to that schedule. And he wrote back to me and he said, my assistant just quit or left or whatever. I'm without an assistant at the moment. So yeah, I think that's just, it's actually segueing into my next topic for today. But I just wanted to start off with that, to just say, remember to give constructive criticism, but also remember to give it in a way that you would like to receive criticism. And then secondly, remember to give positive feedback, because a lot of the time we don't do that, just so people know what they're doing right, and how they can improve on that. And I mean, as in this time of struggling businesses and this pandemic and all of this stuff, we need to try and make sure that the businesses that are still able to push forward remain able to be open, especially the smaller businesses, that they remain open and that they remain having good customers and good customer service. So everybody wins. You get better service next time, and the service provider gets more money. So that then segues me into the second part of today's topic, which is, or today's conversation, which is really centered around networking. So I personally, might be difficult to believe because I'm out here with a YouTube channel now, am really shy and really introverted. So it was a journey. It was a journey to get me to just speak, to be able to speak. And it was a deliberate journey. I started debate. I joined the debate club in primary school, and then I was in it right through high school, university. And it was a conscious decision to make myself able to speak to people, because it's just so hard. Like, even with all those years of practice, right now it's so hard. It's so difficult for me to like open myself up to, especially strangers. And so I realized though that it was important, because there's only so much you can do or achieve in your little cocoon of, like, as being a little human being, with nobody can enter and nobody can talk to you. And I realized that at a very early age that this was not working for me. It was comfortable, it was safe, it was nice, but it was not working for me. And it was not working for me because I just always had so much to say, and there's always so much I wanted to do and achieve. And I would never have been able to achieve that if I could not open my mouth to speak. So this is really the importance of talking to people, why you need to talk to people. And this is why networking is something that sounds very formal and very how do I put it? Very formal, very stiff, like, oh, we're going to a networking session where we're going to network. It's a very sort of a formal environment. We go in suits and heels, and I realized that it's not. That networking is what you do every single day when you interact with people, when you go into a store and you meet somebody, or when you go into somebody's office and you're just there to pick something up and you speak to the person that you find at reception or whatever. And that's how you build the sort of the bonds and the connections that, and the web that leads up to the things that you need to achieve in life, right? Okay, that was very vague. Let me try again. By networking, by opening yourself up to people, by having conversations with people that you might not ordinarily feel comfortable having conversations with, you open yourself up to a different world completely. So recently I just realized about this web that started about, or a connection or a link that started about a year ago really. And it started with me going outside of my comfort zone. So I applied for something, I got into something, I met people. When I met people in that workshop, it was a workshop in Ghana. So I applied for the workshop, which it was already freaking me out, the idea of it. And then I applied for the work. So I got into the workshop and I was like, oh my gosh, it was a writer's workshop. And then I got there and then I had to deal with people. And it was terrifying to deal with these strange women that I'd never seen before in my life. I felt like, oh, what are they gonna think? Are they gonna think I'm stupid? Am I gonna say something dumb? Because I also say a lot of really awkward things, like not intentionally, like I don't mean to be awkward, but it's just, and I say things and people are like, ugh. And I was freaking out. But I'd made a conscious decision during that workshop to really open myself up to having conversations with people. And these are women from all over Africa. So that was an opportunity on its own. And boy, did it pay out. From that, I have had so many interactions. I met so many amazing women that I'm still in contact with now. And I have formed really good friendships. People have allowed me, these women have allowed me into their personal or sort of their artistic spaces that have helped me to learn and to grow, and then also to be able to sort of get into contact with people I never would have been in contact with if it wasn't for these women. And so that just grew my network of this area of my life, which is writing and these conversations in an artistic space that I really, really wanted to tap into, but I didn't know how to. And it also on a much wider platform than I ever would have been able to achieve by just sitting in my house and it all came from me applying for that one workshop that I thought, number one, I wasn't going to get in, and number two, I thought I'm going to be such a mess when I get there because I don't actually know what I'm doing. So yeah, so those are, I mean, I could go into detail, but I don't want the video to be too long. So basically what I'm saying is this: opening yourself up to other people and allowing other people to sort of see a side of you that you might be a bit shy about gives you the opportunity to, that is real networking. So it gives you the opportunity to form bonds with people and to create a whole new sort of network for yourself that opens all these amazing connections for you. So yeah, that's today's video. I was trying to keep it short. I think it's a little bit longer than I wanted to get it to, but it's okay. I will get better with the ums and the uhs and the thinking about what I'm trying to say as time progresses. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe and follow the blog, www.shaliwrites.com, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.